afternoon. I made a video this morning. I may or may not post. I don't know. I need to listen to it again to see if I was just ranty or if there was actually a clear purpose and message behind it. Yeah, I'm looking extra rough today. Sound rough. And warning, I may sneeze at any time. And if you've had children, given birth to them, you know that's scary. So, anyways. I don't know if it's allergies, colds, whatever this is. Not my friend today. Anyways. I thought about something today that was important. I listened to someone give a teaching on this recently. And first of all, I thought, well, how many of us know this? And second of all, choices, man. Choices. The thing that's funny is we act sometimes like we have no choices. Well, I had no choice. I was put in this position, blah, blah. And yet, that does not help you escape the consequences of your decisions. I'm just going to say. Like to blame it on somebody else or wish it into the cornfield, pretend it didn't exist, but I hate to tell you, you're still held accountable. Especially if you're an adult. Okay, so through all this nasally sound, see if I can get to it. Using some new lingo here. It's been new to me. For a couple years now, I've heard people talk about your scrolls, your heavenly scrolls. And maybe you're more in the know and you've heard all this. I like that idea. I like the idea of scrolls better than even... I love books, but just sounds more official and biblical if it's the scroll. I mean, man, the Dead Sea Scrolls found in, the cave in the desert. Who wouldn't? But this is interesting. So we can have multiple scrolls that God drops in our lives. Different seasons. So you open up the scroll, maybe you don't even you've just barely opened it. And some of the examples that were given, like in this season, your scroll says you're a spouse, you're a parent. So these are the things you're going to do, right? You're going to coexist, figure things out together. You're going to parent and love your children. You're going to provide. Whatever your job is. So say you're a carpenter, you're going to carpenter-ish. Well, you know what I mean. You're gonna woodwork. And then maybe even you are aware that you are excited by XYZ. So maybe missions. Maybe missions is on your scroll. The interesting part is, maybe I will post the other one just because I think I did talk about the fact that we're not superfluous. We are not here by accident. I don't know, has anybody ever told you that? You weren't here by accident? Maybe your parents said you were an accident. I know my conception was supposed to be an accident. Hello. Not really. But when you read the scriptures that talk about how God knew you before you were even conceived, he knew you. Okay, whoa, you knew me before then. Wow, okay. But it also says that he had the days already written out for us before we were, conceived, here, born, all that. And so if those days are all written out, then people are like, well, I don't have a choice then. Things are just going to happen. No, just because he already knew in advance how things were going to go, that doesn't take away your choices that you have. But I digress. Let's go back to these scrolls. So say you have 1 through 6 on your scroll. And then the example given was of, we'll say Pete. Pete is calling you at 2 a.m. because, he can't sleep, he needs prayer, he's having suicidal ideations every week, he's calling you, blah, blah, or he needs a ride to go get groceries, or he doesn't know what he's going to do with his life, on and on. And if Pete is not on your scroll, it's a negatory. That goes against what everybody tells Christians are supposed to do, right? Christians are supposed to take up the slack in everything. Well, that's not very Christ-like. Jesus didn't do everything. He could have walked on this earth and gotten rid of hunger. Any famine would have been gone like that. Every sickness, all of it. So, anyways, the whole point was your scroll. If Pete's not on it, he's supposed to be on somebody else's scroll. So you're not only harming Pete, you're harming whoever is supposed to be with Pete on their scroll. They're supposed to be helping him through these things. And I know there's a lot of reasons why I did more than what my scroll said in a lot of seasons. Frankly, I'm going to be honest, my husband was on the road a lot, and I seen some trucker wives be stupid, be foolish, let's use that word, foolish women captured by the attentions of someone else, and I wasn't going to let that happen, so I just kept myself busy. And that's one. Second, I'm a acts of service kind of person. That's how I not only show I care, that's my currency a lot of times, is by doing things. And then third, I was a number one people pleaser for a very long time. I'm a control perfect kind of person, and so firstborn daughter, and you're right up to bat. Okay, let's hand you the agenda. I remember one time I had someone who wanted me to do something, and I actually said no. Okay, that was a biggie for me. I said, no, I cannot do that. But you're so reliable. I said precisely why I am in this predicament. I have several other things already going on besides the things that were on my scroll during that season. Raising my kids, take care of my house, all the things. And I don't know, people think when you're home that you're not doing anything. That's a lie, FYI. If you're raising kids and they think you're not doing anything all day, we all know that's a lie. If you've raised any of them kids, that's a lot of work, all day, every day. Weekends and holidays, it's all hard work. Anyways, all to say, I was thinking about those scrolls. Most of my life, I felt like I was just trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. Like you expect a student or a parent or somebody in your life to go, you know what? You are so good at this. This is what you should do. You have a talent for this, or you have a blah, blah, blah. I had a talent for being intense and loud and loving everything. No one ever really said that to me. Right? So I was like, wow. I mean, there's things I was interested in. I never went to God, I don't think, ever, and really said, hey, what do you want me to do? Everything could have turned out completely different or done that, I guess. But have you asked him that? What you're supposed to be doing in this season? I heard somebody was talking about a marriage. And at the beginning of the marriage, well, before the marriage, actually, so they're engaged, and there was some abusive language, and very, I don't know, I don't even want to use all the buzzwords everybody's using, narcissistic, all that stuff these days, but they knew that this person, they've already seen who they really are. By the way, if you're dating somebody and anything's a red flag, I hate to tell you, they're showing you their best side when you're dating. So prepare for way more of the worst. So, believe what people tell you and what you see. That's why you need to know their family too. You need to know everybody, because you married everybody. Anyways, again, like, okay, she went ahead and ignored it and said, I'm willing to marry this person for whatever reason. And of course, it got worse, more intense. 30-some years later, even kids growing up, grandkids coming along, still being treated badly. I don't even remember if there was physical. I think it was all, the story had to do with mostly feeling devalued. Which, even God says, marriage is a partnership. You become one. So if they devalue you, they're devaluing themselves. Anyways, this person made this choice to go through all this. Now, at any point, she could have said, this is enough. I'm walking out. I'm done. And I know there are some fundamentalists who are like, yeah, dude, you're married for life. You're married to heaven. You're married, whatever. All those things are like, you're stuck. I don't know what century you're living in, but I would like to point out the fact that every person is valuable to God, including women. Yeah, I feel that's going to come up here pretty soon. I'm going to have a little talk about this. Women. And we seem to be backpedaling again on things. And they want to blame feminists. Don't even use that term. They want to blame women for the fact that men are wimpy. And they need a real man to, if they would behave, then the men would behave. Men down that road, people. And I'll tell you, even in a church setting, I sat down and didn't say anything for weeks because I was told that if I would sit down and shut up in church, then the men would rise up and say, no one did. So, anyways, more digress. All to say, think about that for a minute. If an angel came down from heaven right now and handed you a scroll. Now, mind you, they have done that. There's John, isn't it John? Revelation was given one to eat this. Ezekiel, maybe Daniel. I don't know. I'm trying to remember all of them. My head's a little fuzzy today. So, a messenger angel, that's what they are. Angel means messenger. So, an angel shows up, hands you a scroll, and says, this is your mission if you choose to accept it. And you start opening it up, and he's like, hold on. You can only take this step at a time here. Let's start with the first thing and work your way from there. And then your obedience opens up more. Again, words are escaping me because my head isn't totally clear here. But your obedience opens you up to more understanding and more wisdom, because the scriptures even say that if you're faithful in the small things, then he could trust you more. He could give you more to do. I mean, why would you, if you had an employee like that, you're like, you can't even count change correctly. You've been $5, short every time we've counted this out. No, I'm not going to make you a key holder. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, if you look at it from that point of view, that he gives you something to do. And be a good husband. Be a good wife. No, you don't kiss their butt. No, you don't do everything for them. But you honor them, respect them, and show care for them more than you would even a stranger. So you do that. Then he gives you more. Now maybe you get children. That'll test you. Then maybe there's more. So say an angel did that, handed that to you. You take it serious, right? It's an actual, God sent somebody to me. Well, that's amazing. Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but you already have a scroll. It's ready, waiting for you to grab it and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And I been telling you stuff because he knows how to talk to us right where we are. He doesn't have to skywrite it in the sky. He can do it in dreams. He doesn't have to, because you already know what you're supposed to be doing. You already know. We like to play ignorant, pretend it's not there, get wish it in the cornfield, blame it on others, blah blah, all that stuff. So here's my caveat at the end. We should be more concerned about this than we are. Most times we go to church, we warm a pew, we go forward, get our communion, we show up for Easter and Christmas. I tithe, I'm a good person, I give to the poor, I go to a soup kitchen, all the above, okay? So you say all those things, you're a good person. And when we are standing before God, because he's got a lot of books he's going to be opening up. It's like, okay, so those talents that I gave you, what did you do with them? Did you bury them? Did you use them? What happened with that? What about obedience? The things I asked you to do, did you obey and do them? Let's look at that. So I don't know about you. I don't want to have a conversation where I'm backpedaling, trying to blame somebody else or make excuses for why I didn't do something, because I was more concerned about my place in this earth than my place in eternity with Him. Yeah, that stings. I know you see the news. I know you know what's going on. The whole world knows, believe it or not. You just think you got a little more insight than others, but I'm going to tell you right now, everyone knows we are about to see the largest shift in the supernatural that we probably ever have since the garden. So, are you ready for it? You're just going to go home, hope that Netflix hangs on long enough, scramble to figure it out? Man, think again about those 10 virgins waiting for the bridegroom to come, and opens up the door, there's only 5 standing there ready to go with their wicks, their candles, their oil, everything's ready. They're waiting. The other 5 who didn't take care of their stuff, they wanted to borrow, they had to run off and buy more, they weren't ready to go. And then what happens? They come back later, they knock at the door, and he's like, I don't even know who you are. That terrifies me. More than any Left Behind scenario or anything else, but my Lord and Savior saying He doesn't even know who I am. Okay, that was heavy for right now. So think about that. When's the last time you asked God, why am I here? And not in a negative, I don't want to be here, but I mean, why am I here? In this time period. You've been born into this time period. You could have been born 200 years ago, but no, it's now. You're not a placeholder. If you're a gamer, you are not an NPC. Okay? You are not superfluous. Your life is not. You're here for a reason. Ask Him why.